Hey guys, on this edition of DIY Saturday, I'm going to show you how to make your very own baby food. Today I'll be making some yellow squash, some carrots, and some pears. So if you want to know how to make this for your baby, then stay tuned and I'll show you how. Let's get started. Alright, so this is what you're going to need. You're going to need a pot with a colander or a strainer if you don't have a steamer. If you have a steamer, that's awesome. A couple of measuring cups, another little strainer to make sure it's nice and thin and smooth, a blender, a bullet, anything to puree your vegetables, and ice cube trays, something for you to store and to freeze your food so that you have convenient 1 ounce servings. First thing we're going to do is make our yellow squash. We're going to wash them nice and clean. As you can see here, I have water inside of the sink and I just kind of let them sit in there and soak for a little bit, and then I scrub them very well, especially since I'm going to keep the skin on those squash. Now you're going to fill up your pot. If you don't have a steamer, you're going to fill your pot up with water. You don't want to fill it all the way up. You want to fill it up just enough so that when you place the colander inside of it, the colander does not sit in the water. Now go ahead and put that lid on that and turn that up high and let that start boiling. Chop up those vegetables nice and small. Again, you're going to keep the skin on the squash, and you want to make them into nice dice-sized pieces so that they'll steam a bit faster. Put them inside of the colander and inside that pot and let that steam for about 10 to 20 minutes depending on how thick your vegetables are. And you want to check those vegetables to make sure that they are nice and tender, just like so. Once those are good to go, take those on out. And you want to save the water. The water that's steamed out, you'll notice that it's slightly tinted. The color, what that is, those are the nutrients that steamed out of the vegetables and they go into the water. So you want to save that water just in case you need it to thin out your vegetables. So this just depends on how old your baby is, how thick of a consistency your baby needs the food to be. Now I have these cups that go to my little bullet blending machine, and I'm just going to go ahead and fill those on up. As you can see, I have 2 cups. I made quite a lot of squash, and this is a really great way to make up food for a while. So I'm going to fill both of those. I'm going to fill both of those up. And now once they're both filled, I'm going to screw my blending top on and go ahead and place that right on the blender and blend. And as you can notice, the squash has a lot of water already in them, so it's going to thin down really well. You don't really need to add any water to thin this out. Again, unless your baby needs thinner food, then you'd add more water to thin it out. Now once that's all done, I'm just going to open my top and I'm just going to check to make sure that it is the consistency that I like. Yep, just the way my baby likes it. Perfect for me. So the next step is I like to use a strainer. It's a little mesh strainer, and I just place that right on top of my measuring cup. And this just helps strain out any seeds, any skin, anything that I don't want to be in my puree, because I want it to be nice and smooth and creamy for my baby. And here I'm not pushing it through the mesh, I'm just spreading it out so that it'll easily fall through the strainer. And I'm getting the goodness inside, all for the baby. Again, now this is a little time consuming, and once your baby's older you can actually skip this step, but for younger babies you definitely want to make sure that you strain anything that may not have blended down or pureed or gotten chopped down in the process. And I just push it all through, and I'm just about done here. And I'm going to show you why I strain this. So first, oh actually I'm gonna go ahead and scrape all that goodness off the bottom because I don't want to waste any of my food. Alright, now let's take a look at this. This is exactly why I strain it, because see, look, if you can see closely, there's a couple seeds still in there, some lumpiness. So again, depending on how old your baby is, if your baby's a bit older, then that's fine. Then they are able to swallow a bit thicker consistency. But my daughter, she still needs a little bit thinner consistency. And that there is about 2 cups of puree. And I just put a little saran wrap or cling wrap or whatever you want to call it on top of my dish there. And I'm going to just set it aside and let this cool down before I put it in the dish to freeze it. Alright, once you've set it aside to cool, go ahead and take your ice trays. Now this is the Munchkin ice tray, but you can get any kind of ice tray with a lid, or you can just use saran wrap or to close it up. So you can get an ice tray, and I just like to stir it around just to make sure everything, nothing's settled and everything's mixed in properly. And then simply just pour your food into the trays. Now this tray, like I said, is Munchkin brand, and it is specifically made for baby food. So it's already portioned out to 1 ounce portions. So everything that you pour in there, it's going to be 1 ounce. So you can just perfectly separate it just for what baby needs. So I find it very convenient. But again, if you just have a regular ice tray, you can use your regular ice tray. And you just know how much you're putting in there. You know, you pour 1 ounce or 2 ounces in there, and then just put some saran wrap on top just to close it up just while you freeze it, because once you freeze it, you're going to take it out of there anyway. So no use of paying extra money on baby specific items when you can use the same exact item that you have already in your kitchen. As you can see, I've poured everything in. I put the lid on top, and I'm going to pop this right on into my freezer and wait until it freezes up nice and hard. Now there's still a bit left inside of my measuring cup, and what I do, I keep that to give my daughter fresh food. So I'll go ahead and feed her that, whatever's left, and I think it was like 1 ounce or 2 left of that, so that was enough for 1 meal. And refrigerated, it can stay in the refrigerator for 48 to 72 hours. And frozen, you can keep these frozen meals for up to 1 month. Right, now we're going to make pears. Pears, when I make fresh fruit, I don't freeze them. So this is just a quick way to make your fruit for a couple of days. Like I said, it's good for 48 to 72 hours. So you can see I'm horrible at peeling and chopping, but you want to peel your skin off, and you want to make sure that all the seeds and core is all the way out. You're going to go ahead and chop up your pear nice and small. Now if your pear was really ripe, you can actually go ahead and skip this step, but mine wasn't really ripe, so I want to go ahead and steam it to make sure it's nice and soft and easily blendable. So once again, you go ahead and put it in your colander, stick your colander on top of this steaming water, and you're going to go ahead and let that steam down for about 10-15 minutes, or just until they are soft and it looks like they're ready to go. Once they're soft and ready to go, it's the same process. You're going to go ahead and take those out of the water, and you're going to take that steam water, save some of that because you will need the water for these pears to loosen them up, because they will be pretty thick. So pour out some of that water to save and to thin out your baby's food. And again, it all depends on how thick your baby's able to take food. My daughter still takes things pretty thinned out, not completely thinned out, but thin enough to where I need to add the water. And you're gonna go and drop your pears on into your blender or whatever kind of blending system that you have. Again, I only make enough for a couple of days, so I don't make large quantities. And you can freeze your fruits, but certain fruits, they will brown when you freeze them. I mean, they're still good, but they're just gonna brown up a little bit when you freeze them. So go ahead and blend them on down. Shake, shake, shake. Add a little bit of that good steam water to those. If I can get the top open, there we go. Alright, and I probably pour about maybe an ounce, maybe 2 ounces in there at a time. Put that top back on. Let's mix it up and let's start blending again. Now if you have a regular blender, you just open the top and pour it in. You don't have to do all that screwing and unscrewing, but of course I have this little bullet machine and that's what I gotta do for my machine. Alright, these pears are almost ready. Can you see that steam still coming out from that water? These things are hot. Alright, and we should be just about ready. Let's go ahead and unscrew that and just check them out. Again, just make sure you use the consistency that's good for your baby. Alright, we are good to go. So I'm just going to pour these into my measuring cup, put some saran wrap on top, and just let these cool. And once they cool, I'll actually put them in a dish with a lid and put them in the refrigerator and just serve her from them. Well, not from the dish. I'll pour them in a bowl when I, feed her, because you never want to feed out of the container and put it back in the refrigerator, because you can have bacteria and that kind of stuff in there. So, all right. So now we're gonna make carrots. Now this is also something. It's a packaged food, but I try to get the organic pre-packaged carrots. So they're already sliced and they're already washed, but I like to go ahead and wash them again. So I'm just going to dump those in there, wash those up, and again, you got your boiling water all nice and ready for you. And you're just going to go ahead and place that colander right inside. And you want to go ahead and get steaming. Put that lid back on top so that you can see. If you don't have a steamer, it's okay. You can still steam your vegetables just fine. And those vegetables, they're good and ready. So, same process. We're going to take them out. Make sure you take your steam water. You want to keep that water, because steaming is the best way. If you're going to cook your vegetables, it's the best way. You don't lose as many nutrients as if you were boiling, because if you're boiling, it's soaking in the water, and all that water is soaking out all those nutrients. And as you can see, you can look at that water and you can see it's tinted slightly orange, because those are the nutrients that went into the water. So we want to keep as many nutrients for our baby, so you give them really good, healthy food. And I know I'm going to need water for this, so I'm going to go ahead and pour about an ounce or 2 in there before I start pureeing. And it's, you know what time it is, it's blending time. Let's blend that on down and puree it nice and good. Alright. Stir it on up. I'm going to add a little bit more water to it. And let's see. Shake, shake, shake. Let's get it ready. Almost done. And it really doesn't take much time. Yes, I did kind of elapse time on some of this, but it really doesn't take much time at all. I made this food, and you freeze it and it lasts for a good month. So you have your baby's food for a month. You take a couple hours out of your day one day and just make up batches and batches of food, and that's normally what I do. So once your carrots are pureed to the consistency that you like, go ahead and pour them over the strainer. and strain out, and so that we can make sure you don't have any strings or anything that you don't want in the carrots. And as you can see, there's some little chunkies that didn't blend down that well, and I'm just gonna squish that right on through that mesh, and that way my baby has nice smooth silky carrots. And oh, these carrots were delicious. I always taste what I'm giving her to make sure it's good for one, because I figure if she's eating it, then I need to eat it as well. Okay, we are almost done. Same process here, guys. You're just gonna mix that on up to make sure everything's mixed well. And then you're gonna go ahead and get your cling wrap, put it aside, let it cool. Now it's cooled, and you're gonna just pour it on into your ice trays, just like before. And these ice trays here that I bought, they are very inexpensive. I think they were a couple of bucks each for them. Sometimes they are a little not as easy to get them out of the ice tray, so you could, I mean, the little ones that are a little bit more expensive, they're a little bit easier, but hey, I found a way for it to work without having to spend a bunch of money, so they work just fine for me. Now, once you put everything in the freezer and you're ready to pop them out, I like to get my freezer bags and write on the freezer bag what it is and what date it is, because sometimes when you have carrots and sweet potatoes, they're both orange and they both look the same, so very confusing. So you want to write exactly what it is and what date, because like I said earlier, when you freeze your food, you want to keep it for about a month, a little bit over, but you want to use it within a month. I like to grab a plate, and I'm gonna just like you would pop out ice cubes, I'm gonna twist my tray a little bit just so that my cubes are ready to pop on out, and I just pop them right on out onto the plate. And be careful, they are slippery, they will pop and slide all over the place, so you want to kind of have a clean surface, so that way if they do fall onto your countertop, it will be okay. And that's it. You just go ahead and just put them in your freezer bag, and you're going to be good to go. Look at that. I mean, that's 12 feedings right there. And if you give them, you know, your child one squash a day, that's 12 different feedings right there. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.